Today we're going to continue our lesson of area of the shaded region, and it's basically the same thing as yesterday. We're going to find the area of both shapes, and then we're going to remove the one we don't want. In this case, we don't want the circle. We have a square and a circle. So what you want to do is you want to find the area of both shapes first. Of course, you have to. So we'll start with the area of the square, which is length times width. And then the area of the circle is pi times the radius squared. So first we need to make sure we have the information that we need. Do I know the length and width of the square? Well, of course I do, because the length and width are going to be the same on the square because all sides are congruent. So the area of the square is 8 times 8. So the area of the square is 64. Now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to see if I have the information that I need for the circle. What I need to know about the circle is the radius, right? Because that's the part of the formula that we need. Well, I know the diameter is 8. And how do I know the diameter is 8? Because the circle's length is exactly the same as the square, because it's inside the square. And if the diameter is 8, we know that the radius is 4. So I'm going to plug 4 into this formula. So pi times 4 squared. And we're going to do 2 decimal places using the pi function on our calculator. 50 and 27 hundredths. So now I need to subtract that from the area of the square because I only want this shaded region, and so this is going to be subtraction. So 64 minus 50 and 27 hundredths is 13 and 73 hundredths. All right, let's look at the next one. We have 2 shapes. We have a triangle and we have a circle. In this case, with this kind of triangle, I'm going to go ahead and calculate that area for you since we haven't talked about a triangle with an apothem. The area of the triangle is going to be 27 square roots of 3. Just trust me on that one. And then I need to find the area of the circle. So I ask myself, do I have the information that I need to find the area of the circle? Do I know the radius? Yes, I do. The radius is from the center to the side, and so the radius here is 6. So I'm going to go pi times 6 squared. And you want to use your pi symbol, and I get 113 and 1/10. So I'm going to subtract. Who am I subtracting? Who am I taking off? I'm taking off the triangle. So I'm going to subtract this area from this area. So I'm going to subtract 27 square roots of 3. So I'm going to go 113 and 1/10 minus 27 square roots of 3. 2 decimals, and it's going to be 66 and 33 hundredths. 66 and 33 hundredths. Okay, let's continue with area of a shaded region. And I have 2 shapes. I have my circle and I have my trapezoid. So I need to find the area of both those shapes. So I need to know the formula for the trapezoid. That formula is base 1 plus base 2 times the height, all divided by 2. The area of the circle is pi times the radius squared. Let's start with our trapezoid. What information do we know? We know our base 1 is 12. We know our base 2 is 8. But we don't know our height. This is our height. Well, look what happens. If I drop this height down on this side, I have 2 congruent triangles. If I only look at this part of the triangle, How long is this piece right here? It's 8. So if that's 8, this whole thing is 12. So that means there's 4 left over. So when I split that 4 between this triangle and this triangle, that's going to give me my total of 12. So let's just look at this 30, 60, 90 right triangle. Remember, across from the 30 is our x, our short side, and across from our 60 is whatever that number is times the square root of 3. So this height is 2 square roots of 3. I had to know my information for my 30, 60, 90 right triangle just to do this problem. So I'm going to plug my numbers in. The area of this trapezoid is going to be base 1, which is 12, plus base 2, which is 8. It doesn't matter who you call base 1 and who you call base 2. It's the parallel sides. Times 2 square roots of 3, all divided by 2. So let's put that in our calculator. 12 plus 8 times 2 square roots, square root, not trig, square roots of 3, up. Okay, Miss Stanley, got to delete it all off. Because I accidentally, if you go inside the parentheses, make sure that you get to see me mess up on the calculator. 12 plus 8, come outside the parentheses, that's what I didn't do, times 2 square roots of 3. I'm push enter, and then I'm going to divide that by 2. I want to put all my numerator in first, push enter, and then all you have to do is push divide by 2, and I'm going to go 2 decimal places, so the area is 34.64. Now I'm going to do the area of the circle. Do I know the radius? Well, sure I do. I know all the way across is 12, so I know my diameter is 12. That would mean that my radius is 6. So I'm going to go pi times 6 squared because it's pi times the radius squared. So I'm going to use my pi button. It's down here. Times the radius squared, 113.1. I need to subtract off the trapezoid, so I'm going to go 113.1 minus 34.64, and that gives me 78.46. All right, let's try the next one. I've got a rectangle and I've got the circle. For the area of a rectangle, I'm going to do length times width. And for the area of a circle, I'm going to go pi times the radius squared. Let's start with the rectangle. Do I know the length and width? Yes, I do. If I don't, I have to figure it out. But I know the length is 12 and the width is 16. So my area is 12 times 16. Which is 192. Then I'm going to find my area of my circle, but do I know the radius? No, I do not know the radius, but I know that this makes a right triangle. And since it makes a right triangle, I can either know that this is a 3, 4, 5, or I can use Pythagorean's theorem. Let's do Pythagorean's theorem. 12 squared plus 16 squared is going to equal the diameter squared. So I can do that in my calculator. 12 squared plus 16 squared. It's going to give me 400 equals my diameter squared. So now I'm going to take the square root because that's what we do with Pythagorean's theorem, and it gives me 20. But that's my diameter. That's not my radius. So I had to use Pythagorean's theorem to get the diameter. The radius is half of that. The radius is 10. So the area of this circle is going to be pi times the radius squared. So pi times 10 squared is 314.16. I'm going to subtract off the rectangle. So I'm going to go 314.16 minus 192, that's going to give me 122 and 1600ths. Make sure you took really good notes, that you summarized your video, and that you write down at least one question.